right, so what is growing on? This video is going to be on the topic of what do I do before a hurricane. Had a ton of people comment, send me messages, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube over the last week. Obviously, with seeing this hurricane that's coming here in Florida, hurricane, I say, tropical storm. Honestly, true Floridians, you don't really get too fazed by hurricanes unless you're on the coast, unless you're in a flood zone, unless it's like a Cat 5. For the most part, though, I've been through like 20 of these. They're typically just tend to be rain events and maybe a little bit of a mess to clean up. Unless it's something like a Cat 4 or 5, I really don't do a lot of preparation. So with that being said, most of my preparation is preventative maintenance. You know, trimming dead wood out of oak trees, keeping your fruit trees pruned, you know, maybe harvesting some fruit that's close to being ready before that storm gets here. But for the most part, if you guys are waiting till that hurricane gets here, you know, to do your last minute preparations, you've waited too long. Preventative maintenance is key. Keeping these trees pruned and in track so you can actually get to the fruit is key. I have a bunch of clients that have mango trees, and you know, if you don't prune a mango tree, we're talking about a 50-foot tree. Talking about a tree that can get huge. You know, that's a problem. Not only is it hard to get to the fruit, not only can you get less fruits in your backyard, you know, you're talking about, yes, a mess. If something was to come down, bigger trees have a much better chance of falling. So with that being said, I did just get caught up on some preventative maintenance about a week ago. And certain things that I did just top out were a lot of my avocado trees, like this one right here behind me. I believe this is a poncho variety, and you can see up there, I just took the top out of it. And what I've noticed is, you know, when we're planting these trees in the dappled light, especially more of your subtropical fruit trees, they have a tendency to stretch. They do have a tendency to get tall and lanky. So pruning them, keeping them in that 10-15 foot height, you know, makes things a lot easier. So if we have a hurricane, you know, and maybe something breaks, you know, I kind of just let nature run its course. I prune these trees. We try to keep them in check prior. You know, if I get some broken branches after a hurricane, you know, no big deal. Like I said, let nature run its course, cut the tree back. It's not really the end of the world. The chances of that tree, you know, breaking below the graft are very, very slim. Typically, it's going to break above the graft. The tree's going to go back. And remember, trees are tough. You know, way tougher than we are per se. So, you know, these things can take a beating. I can tell you I've made some other videos here around the farm on my starfruit trees. That was one that blew me away when we had a hurricane a few years ago. Hurricanes and cracking of the branches and the stress from the wind and the flopping, you know, even though those trees are like literally wind intolerant, carambola, starfruit is what I'm speaking about, they got highly stimulated from that hurricane, from those cracking of those branches. There was even a study, I believe, through Trek. Dr. Crane, I think, did the study on cracking the branches of carambola to induce fruiting and flowering. So after we had that last hurricane, I don't think things have ever flowered the way they have around here. It really stimulated the plants, really got them going off, woke them up, you know. So not only, you know, when we have major hurricanes and we have major, you know, thunderstorm events, and you actually have organic matter on the ground and lightning's hitting, you know, it's literally putting nitrogen into the soil. So, you know, after we have a big hurricane, it's like somebody just threw compost tea and fertilizer on this place. I mean, the difference today to where it was yesterday, you know, we probably had 4 inches of rain last night. I had some standing puddles. You know, as you guys look around here, you see a tiny little bit of brush, but we got super lucky with this hurricane. I don't even think I had any bananas fall. You know, and bananas are one that you can't keep pruned. You know, if they're close and they come down, sure, you cook them as they're green. There's not too much preventative maintenance you can do on a banana. What you notice is after we have a hurricane, a lot of the banana leaves shred. So, you know, here's a shredded leaf. That's what the banana is supposed to do. The top leaves are actually still pretty solid, but if that was out in a more exposed area, that whole thing would be really shredded. So I was just out here a week ago feeding these trees, and like I said, we just topped a bunch of stuff out. But, you know, if you're looking to do some preparations for the hurricane, try not to wait to the last minute. You know, that preventative maintenance, that yearly pruning, that staying on top of those trees is key. You know, when we install a job and we put these trees in the ground at 10-12 foot spacing, you know, we're very specific. We're telling the clients, you know, this is based on a pruned tree not being able to hit its maximum size. So it's so important that we're keeping those trees in check. You know, like I know that Dr. Richard Campbell, he gets 200 fruits on a 12-foot mango, 10-foot mango tree. You know, good luck even getting 200 fruits off of a 50-foot tree. That's a lot of work. They're hard to get to. You know, that's why that pruning is so important. Creating those multiple tipping, you know, with that tipping is creating all those multiple points. Mangoes fruit off of the tip. Lots of trees are like that, you know, so by pruning, by tipping, by making a small bushy tree, it can be very, very productive. I feel almost more productive in some cases than a larger tree. Maintenance is better, harvesting is better, all the way around it's better. You know, you could fit 200 trees in a half an acre like Dr. Campbell's doing with mangoes. I mean, really, those numbers are crazy. And while I'm over here, somebody commented on this false kava kava, the root beer plant. That is definitely coming out. I do have the real kava kava on the backside of the farm, but we did really good with the storm. You know, a couple little branches here and there, nothing too crazy, some wet spots around here, but nothing too big has come down. I could tell you, you know, I've got a couple of big oak trees right now that are ready to come down, that are dead, that I just haven't even had any time for. You know, luckily they're in an area, you know, where there's nothing they're really gonna damage. Like, I'll take you guys out to the front right now. We've had a big oak that just came down, and I'm really sad about it because the oak, it was a water oak. It did have some rot on the bottom. It actually came down a day before the storm. We had like this crazy squall come through, almost like a mini tornado. And the, you know, the thing fell over in the front. I haven't cut it up yet. I haven't even decided if I'm gonna cut it up. I might try to just prune it up a bit and let it lay for a while before I actually cut up and take the whole tree down. But as you can see, everything is pumping, everything is thriving, and the last Food Forest Tour video was a huge hit. You guys loved it. You made me realize I need to do more videos around here, so stay tuned. I'm gonna try to even do like a monthly farm tour update, what's fruiting, what's growing on, what's ripening, keep you guys posted. So here's another one of my big oaks. And when I see these things, I keep some pink tape. You know, when you have hundreds of oak trees, you almost forget where they are. So when I see them, I put some pink tape on them. Neighbor owns a tree service. I have 2 other friends with the tree service. I know a lot of tree guys. When these guys get slow, they typically reach out to me. I get a deal on a day work, you know, and that's when they come out and they knock out all these trees that have the pink taping on it. That is a water oak. You could see some big limbs just came down up here over the top of the chicken coop. You know, chances of this tree actually falling and hitting the far red building are slim, but yes, it could do some more damage to the top of the coop. I did talk to the tree guy last week. I was like, hey, I'm a little bit concerned this thing's gonna come down. Let's get this out of here. I'm actually even considering eventually, like when I first moved in here, I have a friend that has a landscape tree company. He let me borrow a big JLG, like a Genie 45-foot lift. I prune trees for a month straight. You know, I think right now, I was talking to my wife about it the other night, we probably spend, you know, $5 grand minimum, some years more, a year in tree work. You know, when you have 300 oak trees, you know, there's only so much you can do yourself. And, you know, so I'm actually considering getting a lift and just keeping on top of it myself. I mean, that $5 grand a year, I could pay for that lift and just take a day or 2 off and actually just do this stuff in-house. So there is a liability there, there is a time factor there, but I think I'm gonna make the time, and it would just be amazing for pruning, for trimming, for harvesting, multiple uses just to even have that item around here. But let's go out front. You guys wanna see this falling down tree? I'm gonna shut up. I know you guys love seeing my face during the whole video, and you can see the bamboos have just really taken off here. These are some dwarf varieties, but the you know, the Asper and the Giganteus is coming back real good. That was a little bit brown this winter. And of course the Old Hams is looking real good. Probably one of my favorite varieties. You guys can see we just came back in and reset all of these firebush, cut them down to 3-4 foot. And look at this, we've got a snapped cane on the bamboo. That is not very common. Whoa. All right, let's head out front. All right, guys, so here's that big water oak that just came down. And I am considering just taking a couple of these limbs off, getting it up off the grass, cleaning up the dead that fell, and maybe just leaving it here for a little bit and waiting to deal with it. You know, it's not going anymore. It can't damage anything else, so it is what it is. Really, the most upsetting part of this whole thing for me, it's been the passion fruit. You guys can see I finally got some vines going. This is all covered in fruit again, multiple here all over the tree. And you know, the biggest thing I lost there was the passion vine. If I do cut the tree down, you know, maybe I'll cut it right above the vine and try to let that vine hang out, you know, a little bit longer. Typically speaking, you know, we grow the passion fruits up the oak trees. The fruits fall when they're ready. They got that hard leathery, you know, skin. They could fall from 80 feet. But the vines do have a freak dieback. So every couple of years, those vines can die back. You know, so I would love to get that lifespan out of the vine before I actually take the whole stump out of there. Another reason for kind of holding on to it. So might cut a good bunch of this out of here. Haven't decided yet. Kind of up in the air. Like I said, the damage is done. it's not going anywhere else. Just add it to my list of work here around the farm. So, whoa, another big mess. So that is a live oak. That is a water oak. These live oaks are way stronger. You know, a live oak can live hundreds of years. Water oaks, laurel oaks, they have a lifespan. You know, sometimes I've seen them die in 70 years. I would say they're probably in more of the 70 to 90, maybe 100 range, to where, you know, a live oak can be a few hundred years. So if you guys are looking at property, you're looking at oak trees, do know the preferred variety to have on the property would be the live oak. I would say I'm probably 80% live oak here, and then I have a fair amount of water oak and some laurel oak, and most of my water oaks are actually dying off. I've probably removed 5 on the other side. The one I just showed you guys by the chicken coop just died off, so it is what it is. There's Miss Kiki. Hey, come here. Can we get a what's up? You gonna steal the video? They're asking about you. They're asking about you. Hey, baby. All right, good girl. Good girl. She is always hanging out with me. So we do have some missing trees out here on the swale. As you can see, loquat, avocado, loquat, dead avocado, loquat. I had obviously an avocado there that died, and had an avocado over there. Avocados, I find, in the first 2 years, love dappled light. You can actually plant a box around them and remove that box. Maybe that box is nitrogen fixing trees, maybe that box is Mexican sunflower, something to give them a little bit of light protection in the first year or two. They really like, they struggle to get started out here in full sun. You know, this one was probably a little bit closer to a protected area. I say that, and that one was maybe even more protected, and that one died. You can see this one's holding fruit. I probably have, I don't know, 6 avocados with fruit on them this year. Doing really good with Lula, Poncho, Brogdon, Lila, Marcus Pumpkin, a lot of these really cold hardy varieties. So speaking of hurricane pruning and protection, so, you know, the sweet almond can get quite big. We've even had some storms where this has blown over. Because it gets so tall, I don't think the root system is quite big enough or strong enough to actually hold it. So this is something, you know, if I had a chipper, just because it's almost too big for biomass and chop and drop, I come through once a year, we prune it out at 6 foot. You know, right now it's 15, 18, 20 foot tall. I think if we did have a real hurricane, some of this could have fallen down. You know, guess the neighbors out there shooting. Ideally, just like I said, preventative maintenance. You're pruning this stuff before the hurricane. It's not gonna fall over if it's kept in check, if it's cut back. We just did major pruning all the way down this line over here. You know, obviously when we cleared the market garden, we just hard cut back a couple of the vitex, and all the elderberry is due for a hard pruning. I just came through and got a bunch of the deadwood out of the oaks over here. You kind of see, I mean, it was kind of starting to hang over the driveway, well overdue, and really the main reason I was even able to do this is because of all the rain we've had recently. I've got a couple of job sites underwater, had some comments in that last food forest video, take your day or two, spend it around your farm, and we've been hard pruning, we've been mulching, been prepping for more nursery. I have been putting a little bit of time here in the last week or two. Gonna make you guys another video here soon to kind of update you on that. But you know, there's that hard pruned vitex, which was probably in the 15-foot range. You know, now it's 6-7 foot. Fill back out really soon. And like I said, the key with these things is just keeping them in check, pruning them on a regular basis. These elderberries are just huge right now, definitely ready to come down. Same thing with the sweet almond. Give it a hard pruning. It does smell wonderful though, so. Ain't that right, big girl? Let's show them the sweet almond, show them how big it gets. All right, I'm gonna address the gunshots. So my neighbor next to me is an ex-police officer, and I think in my first 3 months of moving in here, it was like 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:30. I was getting in my truck to head to work. This is when I still cut grass. You know, we're going back 8 years ago, cut grass part-time. It was like 6:30, I'm getting in the truck, I heard boom! It scared the heck out of me because I parked right over here by the fence. He like composts the moles right in the hole. We do get a lot of moles here. I've talked about it in some other videos. I've showed you guys the sand piles. He gets out here early in the morning, sits in his chair, waits to see the dirt coming up, and basically shoots them with a shotgun and composts them right in the hole. Can actually see him over there by a dirt pile now. So I have a feeling that was just him getting rid of some moles. I was going to talk about this giant sweet almond though. You could see in the past where I've cut it back a couple of times, and you know, that base is getting to be 4 or 6 inches. Really nice girth to it. I mean, it's almost like a small tree. So that's another one that needs preventative maintenance, that needs pruning. All right, so while I'm on the subject of pruning, we just cut this giant wall of mulberries. You know, this is a great example. We have a giant wall of mulberries here going down the whole property line. Mulberry trees, just like a mango tree, can get to be 50 foot. You know, good luck getting to a mulberry that's 50 foot high. You have to pick those. You cannot pick those off the ground and eat them. You know, that's why you have to keep these trees pruned, especially when we're talking about something delicate and soft like a mulberry. You know, I have tons of mulberries here on the farm. These ones are, you know, ready to be pruned right now, and that's like a max height. You know, that's like 15, 18 foot. I'm never gonna let that thing get any bigger. It's ready to be topped out. Again, this is the Pakistani, that's the white. I believe that's the Australian over here on this side. And you can see every year we come in once or twice a year, and you know, with certain things like a mulberry, by pruning this thing a second time, it'll actually fruit a second time. It can kind of trick the plant per se. So where most mulberries, you know, are only going to fruit that one time a year, maybe an everbearing comes in multiple times a year, this regular like Pakistani variety will fruit a second time with just some kind of pruning. Like I said, it kind of shocks the tree, it stimulates the tree. It's kind of like a little pro tip. So not only, you know, pruning the tree for cuttings to start more of the plants, to access the fruit, there's multiple reasons why we want to keep these pruned. So if you're keeping your trees in check, if you're doing the preventative maintenance, and then we have a hurricane, there's really nothing to worry about. You need to worry about that stuff that's laying around your yard that could take off and take flight. But for the most part, you know, we kind of just let nature run its course. I am not doing, you know, last minute running around. Like yesterday, the day before the hurricane, I was on an install until 4 o'clock. The client came outside at 3:45. She's like, you know, we have a hurricane on the way. The first band's about 15 minutes away. I'm like, yeah, I know. You know, no big deal. Like I said, I've been down here my whole life. Hurricanes are honestly, they're almost like a regular afternoon thunderstorm. I mean, we can get some really nasty thunderstorms, some really nasty squalls down here. Ever since I fixed my power issue, I honestly have nothing to worry about. Since I made that last video, and I'm kind of just sneaking this into this video, I talked about cutting the chaya back, I talked about cutting the firebush back. All of this area has been hard pruned, hit it with mulch again, and look at this rack of bananas. Banana, banana, banana. So 3 racks on 1 clump. That one is definitely not being managed like it should, but just look how productive it is. No irrigation, dappled light, no fertilizer, thriving on neglect. All right guys, so I hope you enjoyed this short video. Please know this is what I do. If you do something different, that's fine. You don't have to do what I do. These are just my suggestions. This is what has worked for me over the years. These are just our methods that I'm sharing with you. So if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, maybe go ahead and do so. Make sure you pound that bell to stay notified. Most importantly, this is the year of pounding dirt and planting trees. So I want to hear you all get out there and pound some dirt. Bow.